Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
You are listening to Women's Running Stories, where exceptional women runners share inspirational stories about their running experiences. Hello and welcome. I am Cherie Turner. I am the host and producer of Women's Running Stories, and I am so glad you're here. You're in for a special episode. This is a live recording from the 2024 Chicago Marathon Expo. This happened on Saturday, October 12th, the day before the marathon. I got to co-host a live panel on the main stage in the expo with my co-host Cindy Kuzma of the Starting Line 1928 podcast, and we were in conversation with the team from Native Women Run, as well as Native Women Run founder Verna Volker. The team was comprised of Amber Henderson, Angel Tadytin, Jessica Lewis, and Birdie Wermy. And these women had great stories to share. I'm really excited that you get to hear them. I can also tell you now that it's after the fact that all of the women on the Native Women Run team finished the marathon. Yeah, it was just an incredible weekend, and this panel conversation, of course, was a huge highlight for me. So let's get to it. Let's hear the live recording that I got to co-host with Cindy Kuzma featuring the women of Native Women Run. Here we go. Enjoy.
All right, good afternoon, friends. Welcome back to the main stage here at the Abbott Health and Fitness Expo. So glad to have you with us. We are closing up shop soon, but we are going to finish with a flurry here at the main stage of the Abbott Health and Fitness Expo. Hey, we got races coming up soon. We can't wait to get to the starting line of that 46th edition of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. But first, we've got a really cool panel. I can't wait to listen in. I want to introduce first writer and podcaster Cindy Kuzma. She'll be joined by fellow podcaster Cherie Turner, and we've got some very special guests that they're going to tell you a little bit about. How about a big hand for our panelists here?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sean, and thanks to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon and Chicago Event Management team, Alex Sawyer, Holly Petrovic, Mia Narcisi. So many other people helped us put this together today. And of course, huge thanks to our guest today from Native Women Run.
We're going to hear some great stories from these women about marathon running and community and representation and running as a team. But before we get started, I do want to acknowledge that we are on the homeland of the Potawatomi, the Peoria, the Kaskaskia, the Kickapoo, and the Mia Mia. And they were the first people to run across this land. And now, in the Chicago area, it is home to the 3rd largest urban population of Native people in the country, representing over 175 tribes. And one similarity that you find in most Native cultures is the importance of running. And the way that we learn about the importance of running in each other's cultures and lives is through sharing our stories. And so that is why we are here, is to hear the stories of these women. And we hope it will inspire you to want to learn and explore more stories of Native women that run. And you can do that by following Native Women Run on Instagram. But we're going to start with these stories of these amazing women. And we have some quick introductions before we do that.
All right. My name is Cindy Kuzma, and I am on the leadership team of the Starting Line 1928 podcast. I'm based here in Chicago.
And my name is Cherie Turner. I am the host and producer of Women's Running Stories, and I share stories of exceptional women runners and their inspiring stories. And I'm also a runner myself.
And we're also here today with our guests from Native Women Run. And Native Women Run is a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering and supporting Native women in running. It was founded by Verna Volker in January of 2018. And Native Women Run aims to increase visibility and create a supportive community for Native women in the running world.
And I'm going to start by introducing Verna. Verna Volker is from the Navajo Nation. She is a road and a trail runner, and she, I know, is currently training for a 100-miler. Yes. And in addition to being the founder of Native Women Run, so she grew up in the Blanca Canyon area of New Mexico, now living in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with her husband and 4 children. And she started Native Women Run because there was a lack of representation of Native women in the running community, and her aim with the organization is to create space for and elevate the stories of Native women who run.
And Verna is joined here today by a team that will run the Chicago Marathon tomorrow, and I'm going to give you their names now. They're going to get to introduce themselves in a minute. But we have Jessica Lewis, Amber Henderson, Angel Tadytin, and Birdie Wermy. So you're going to hear much more from them today. But we wanted to start by asking Verna to say a bit more about herself, NWR, what's new with the organization, and about NWR's relationship with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Yes, thank you for welcoming us. Today, my name is Verna Volker. Twitijini Nashle, Hashglishi Bashichin, Tanizani Dashishche, Tohe Glini Dashanella. My name is Verna Volker. I am born of the Bitterwater Mud people. The Tango people and the water flows together. And so I started NWR 6 years ago just as an Instagram account to being here on a stage. That's pretty amazing. We newly became a nonprofit about 4 months ago. So I think just connecting with people in Chicago. I ran Chicago in 2015 and 2017. And that was before NWR. And so to be here, and I'm not even running this race, but to bring Native women to this race just gets me so excited. I think it's really important because I just made a connection with Mary Beth. And I saw her at the running event, and I was persistent, and we just connected. And I said, how can we get NWR to this race? And so her and Mike have been just really vital in trying to partner with us in ways that are respectful and not making us token runners or we check off the list of Native groups. They're very intentional, and that really means a lot to us to build that trust and that relationship. And so I'm just so excited to know her and to call her friend. So, yes.
Well, and we're super excited that you guys are here to tell your stories, and we're going to get into the stories of you 4 women now. So if you would each, just a quick introduction of yourself, and really we'd love to start off by why did you decide to apply for this team? What inspired you to want to run as a part of Native Women Run at the Chicago Marathon? And anybody can start. This is a question for the group, so.
I'll go ahead and start. Bonjour. Hello, I'm Amber Henderson from Turtle Mountain, Chippewa, Anishinaabe in North Dakota. This is my very first marathon. And so, thanks. I said I was very nervous, but then once I got around my Native sisters, the calms just kind of arrived, and it feels like home being around them. But I decided to apply to run with Native Women Run because I told my husband I would never run a marathon. And when the call came out, I said, you know what? I will only run one on behalf of a cause that I feel that's close to my heart. And, just on a whim, and Verna and the team, I guess, had faith that I could finish tomorrow. And I think with their support, I will. And so I just thank you. And so that's why I am running.
Yad Shea Angel Tadytin Yanishia, Shea Glazeth Lennon Nishlin, Maidish Gizdi Bushishid, Footage Edie Ada Shache, Kia Ani Ada Chanella. Hi everyone, I'm Angel Tadytin. I'm Navajo, and I just said my Navajo clans to you. and I am here with Native Women Running. I'm on the leadership team, so I kind of have dibs on what marathons I want to do. And it's pretty cool because I feel like I just happened to be part of Native Women Run at the exact time that Verna really advocated for us to be in these spaces. And so I was able to like jump in on the Boston, I was able to jump in on the New York, and now I'm here at Chicago. And it's crazy because like I never envisioned myself as a marathoner in any way, but technically I'm halfway done with like the majors, you know? So it's like, it's cool because you can see what her vision has brought to life, like things you didn't think was possible. So I'm very grateful to be here today.
Yate Shea Jessica Lewis Yanshet, Kitlachini Nishlin, Kia Ani Bashishin, Hutso Dashiche, Todichini Dashanella. And I am also a Dene runner from the Navajo Nation. I am come from New Mexico. And I told you my clans and how I relate to you, and it probably doesn't resonate with you because you don't know what I said. I don't want to take too much time, but our clans is how we relate to one another in our Navajo community. So I'm related to Verna in a way where she could be my aunt or my grandma or my sister. She could even be my daughter. And also Angel as well. We haven't gone through our clans yet together to figure out our relations directly, but we're not related to each other through like through family. We're related to each other by clan, and that's how we connect with each other as Navajo people. But as a runner, we are connecting to each other through our lands and also our bodies, our mind, our mental strength, our inner strength, our physical strength. And that's kind of how we challenge ourselves every day as runners. And that's why I applied with Native Women Running, because we kind of all, now that we are meeting together for the first time, we're going to take these stories and we're going to tell them over and over to our family, and they're going to say like, oh, my mom ran that, my aunt ran that, and we're going to relate to each other through stories, and because we always find a relation somewhere. So just today, we met another fellow Navajo and another Jemez Pueblo relation from New Mexico. So it was really great to run into people all the way from Chicago coming from New Mexico. And that's why I decided to run with Native Women Running, to find relations and to connect with others and to bring kind of like right now, it's like a sisterhood.
Hi, everybody. My name is Birdie Wermy. I'm originally from Oklahoma. I'm Southern Cheyenne, Kiowa, and Pawnee. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and I have a bucket list of marathons, and Chicago was one of them, and it was something that I had shared with Verna long ago. And I applied, and I was selected, so I started training back in May with the rest of these women, and I'm here today. I'm so very grateful and thankful to be here. I'm not only representing the southern tribes of Oklahoma, but I'm also representing the Pacific Northwest tribes of Oregon, which is where I grew up at.
Thank you all so much for sharing that. I love hearing about the sisterhood that you're forming and the relations that you're making by being here. And so you each talked some about why you're here in Chicago specifically, but we'd love to hear a little bit more about your inspiration for running in the first place, and especially for running long distances, whether this is your first marathon or not so much your first one. And again, whoever would like to start, can start.
I'll give it a go. So I feel like the Navajo people have a kind of like a deep-rooted history with running because it's part of our traditional ceremonies as you become a woman. And so it's really cool because I also had that when I became a woman, I had to wake up and run. And it's so cool that the teachings that my grandma, my great-grandma, all of them did is what helps me finish a marathon today. You know, like the teachings of you persevere, you go as far as you can, you get the strength from the land, you get the strength from your family that's watching or the people that came to support you. And that's exactly what that ceremony is. And then it's almost like, oh, here I am in ceremony, in Chicago, you know? So it's really cool to be able to pull that from my history, my culture, and present it here today.
You know, I was always scared to run long distance. I ran short distance in high school, and the mile was just, oh my gosh, I can't run the mile. And I think it was like this ethnocentric idea of running that you have to do, like you only have value unless you're doing something. And it wasn't until I really, delve into our indigenous cultures are very polycentric. Like we have value in just being here. We don't have to do. And I think once that pressure's gone, then it's like, it doesn't matter. Just go out, and it feels good to connect outside and know that there's no pressure at all, because there's just value in being, and it doesn't matter how fast or how slow or if it's a bad run. And for me, that has helped tremendously. Get into the long distance, to answer your question of, it's like, it's possible because it doesn't matter, I guess in a way. It does, but it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like. I get happiness and joy when I see people on the road running. Like, I don't have to be running. I would just be like, I'm happy. I don't want to scare them and honk the horn or like, go, go, go. But I just appreciate them so much because it kind of warms my heart and my soul that they're taking care of themselves. But for me, I kind of thought, I remember being in my 20s when I accomplished 4 miles, like at under 40 minutes. And I just kept going, and I just kept going. How much more can I do? How much faster can I do? And when I had 2 of my daughters, I couldn't run when I was pregnant because I had ligament pains. So I couldn't even like walk without pain. And my husband would park way at the end of a parking lot and make me walk. I mean, like, he didn't understand, like, this hurts. But it's like, I would still do that. I would still challenge myself to walk. But that challenge in myself just kept going. Like, let me do a little bit of something. Let me do a little bit of yoga, 5 minutes at least, or 5 minutes within the day when I was pregnant. And even now that I'm at this point, after my daughters are all grown up, I'm out there running, I'm out there longer, and it just feels so freeing. I've also gained more independence through that because I used to be scared to run by myself. And now I feel like I'm a much stronger woman for my daughters. Now they're going outside to go run. So I find inspiration in that. My daughter is also trying to run 3 miles, and she's only 8. I'm just trying to like slow down.
The inspiration that I have behind running is not only leading by example, but changing the next 7 generations. In our culture, we believe in the 7 generations. And my grandpa used to always say, you leave something better than the way you found it. So definitely leading by example. I'm also a sober runner, so consume no alcohol, no drugs, nothing. And being a sober runner and leading by example, I also have 2 children, and I coach them and I run with them. But yes, definitely inspired by Native women runners and making the connections and sharing stories and sharing even our ceremonies together before we run and after we run is very important. But yes, being here is a total, and the other thing I get out of running besides or during the long distance is the runner's high. I look forward to hitting that. I don't know when it is. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but I look forward to that.
I haven't gotten a runner's high in a really long time. I keep hoping for it. I remember my first one though.
So you've all talked a bit about what it means to you to run as part of this team, but I'm wondering if you can get a little bit more into, like, knowing that you were representing Native Women Run at this run, like, how did that impact your training? And I'm also really curious, like, did you run in community with other Native women before you were a part of Native Women Run? Or not, and how that's shifted things if this is a new community to you, to running with other Native women who are running marathons or other events?
Okay, that's kind of how I found Native Women Run. because I was like trying to get running with my siblings, my family, you know, and so that was kind of, my brother always won, my other sister always won. I needed like to branch out, right? I need some running friends, you know, and so I feel like that's kind of how I found Verna and her Instagram. It was just like, oh my gosh, it's like specific. It's Native women and we're all running, you know? So that got me going, like my own community. I would come and say, let's all go do a 5K. Let's get together for missing and murdered Indigenous women, you know? Like I would pull my community together. And I feel like that's how Verna noticed, you know, because I was pulling community together. And so I feel like when you run with Native women, it adds to this sense of belonging and grounding, because I feel like as Native people, we're already the representation because we're so small, right? Like we're already like, because you're the Native runner showing up at the race, you're representing something. And so when you grab a group of people and do that, it amplifies your power. It amplifies this strength. Like I've never even ran a marathon. And so when I did Boston, there was no way I was not going to complete that race, you know? It was like, I'm here with all my sisters. Like, it didn't matter that some are from New York, some are from Washington, I'm from Arizona, you know? It's like, it didn't matter because we all belonged to each other and we all gave each other this, I can't even explain it. It's like this power that went from generations before us, and it will go on generations after us, you know? So that's the sense of community I get from every time I meet these women. These are strangers. I just met them. And already I love them. And I will cross that finish line crawling if I have to for them, you know? So yeah.
In my community, there hasn't really been a lot of runners. I've been the only one lately. I'm running out there with the stray dogs because I live in a very rural community. They all know me, they all like me, and some of them, I'm talking about the dogs. So I've really been inspired by this group because I've been kind of dreaming and kind of wanting that for my community. Because we have this other run group. It happens in the summer. It's called Just Move It. It's part of the Dene Nation group to help with your health and diabetes and nutrition and like community runs. And those always happen. And so many people show up to those things, but they're not out there daily. But they show up to the events. And I'd really like something like a group run in my community. Right now they're doing like a yoga thing, which is very new, a yoga class every Wednesday. It's like every 2 weeks. But I would love a running group in my community because I see some people run. I would love to see more people run. And I hope that this group kind of grows and kind of just takes on and makes other women want to run.
Yeah, I would say for me, I've met other Native women runners through Verna. Specifically from either my hometown or my state, and we've actually met up in other states and have ran together. And even though Verna might not be there, we're still wearing red or NWR and saying like, hey, we're here in Las Vegas, or hey, we're here in Honolulu, we're representing NWR, you know, on your behalf. And if it wasn't for her group, I would have never found the Native women runners in my community, and men runners too, to connect with and run with.
Yeah, I have followed Native women running online, and so I guess I connected that way. And just I'm kind of a loner runner as well, besides my family who's here, and they were out for the shakeout run this morning. But it's been a great way to connect. Even our group chat that we have going on, or watching their stories. I love Jess's stories, and Verna, she's got stories that make me smile all the time. So it's just a good way to, the motivation for coming to Chicago, and especially first marathon, just like, hey, they're there, and I don't know, counting on me to be there and see this through. And so that's been really important to me. Yeah. that extra inspiration.
So, suddenly that got very loud. I'm sorry about that. So tomorrow, I would love to hear from each of you just a little bit about your goals and your approach to the race and what you're most excited about.
I was just telling a couple of people, my goal is just to have fun and finish. But I feel like that's a cop-out for a lot of people, right? I feel like, okay, that's what you're going to say and do. But no, really, because I feel like I kind of embody that runner that is back of the pack. I'm the party in the back, you know, like I really do want to soak things up. And I feel like if I was to place a time or really push myself, it would be painful and I would forget where I'm at, you know, like the place, the mindset I want to be in, right? I feel like I would lose that. So I feel like that's kind of where I'm at, even though it does sound like a cop-out, but I'm excited. I'm so excited because I heard Chicago's pretty flat. I mean, I don't know if that helps because it's still 26 miles long, but I'm very excited, and I've heard a lot about the crowds and like how crazy that's going to be, and I do thrive off of energy, you know, so the energy of the land, energy of the people, and I'm so excited about it.
The crowds here are fantastic. You're gonna love it.
My main goal is to finish, but I always have a time goal in the back of my mind. I don't know if I'll share that. You know, it's not super fast or anything, but it's just a finish, and I'm so excited to see everyone coming in, and especially my two oldest daughters. It's been really important for them to be here, and so I'm looking forward to seeing them at the end.
This is my second marathon. My first marathon, I wanted to run without walking. So I ran that, I jogged that, I took my time, I soaked it in. It was beautiful, and I enjoyed it so much. And now it's my second one. I have that time in my head. I'm gonna see if my Garmin watch is telling the truth. But I'm so glad. I live at 6,900 feet, so I'm hoping, being at this level, I'm gonna coast through a lot. So I'm gonna see what happens.
You've been altitude training for sure.
So this will be my 6th marathon, and I will say that every single marathon that I have ran has taught me something different, and each one has been a different experience. So my goal is to not start out fast, stay with my pace, mind my business, and not worry about who's passing me, old or young, and to make it to mile 18 and not want to quit, not want to cry. But I know I'm going to cry. I'll probably be crying at the start. But yeah, just stick to my running plan and keep my pace.
Crying is always okay at marathons.
So on the theme of the marathon, and I will say, Angel, that I like your goal a lot, because I think having fun in a marathon, like we all want to say, like, the number one thing is to have fun, but it is really hard to have fun in a marathon. And so I do think that's a really noble goal, because it's possible, but I think we all can kind of get in our heads, right? Of just like, I need to do this pace and this and that, and it's just like, wait, no, like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm running this amazing event, so I applaud that goal. But one thing about a marathon is that they are long, and there's always ups and downs, and they do get hard, and you do want to quit, and you do get frustrated. And so I would love to hear from you guys, like, what is going to get you through those tough moments? Like, you know, we talk about the why. So what is going to get you through those moments? What will you be thinking about? What will you be relying on? Yeah, when it gets tough.
I love this question because I actually train for this question. You know, like, so I'm from Arizona, and one big thing that I always do for my marathon training is I'll go on, I call it my walkabout just because I'm native, but it like a difficult adventure, like something so difficult that has no way out, right? So for me, that's always Grand Canyon, because if you go down, you got to come back out, right? And so every time I do like something that's going to be hard in my life, I take it on the dirt trails of my people, my ancestors. And like I just did my trek like 2 weeks ago, went down to the bottom of Grand Canyon. I felt good, I felt strong, you know, and it's always the way out. Like you always think, okay, I'm gonna pace myself, just like a regular marathon, right? Like you got too hot, definitely did that. And it was really good for my mind, for my training of you have no other way but to rely on yourself and get out of this canyon, right? And the cool thing about being on my own homelands was that it wasn't just me, myself, right? I had my grandma with me, my dad with me, all my ancestors before me were with me. And I always think too, because my grandma was a tough lady. She was a sheep herder. She probably did 2 marathons a day herding sheep, right? And so I always think of her like, come on, my grandma would not even let me be this weak or be in that mindset. And so I feel like the trek, the land, and then always thinking of my grandma before me, I'll always be able to pull myself out of that, you know? So that's usually what I do.
Yeah, I think the same. I think of, you know, ancestors. I'm wearing my grandma's ring today. She's always with me. So I think of those individuals, of course, my daughters and my family, but also, unfortunately, I strive through out of spite sometimes. And so an interesting story about a little over a year ago, I had gone to the doctor. I have a younger daughter who's not with us today that's about 20 months old. And I was struggling to just get back into working out after having my 3rd child. And I was kind of discredited, and the doctor, these were the exact words, well, it's not like you're going to be running a marathon anytime soon. Oh, okay. And then I just got it in my mind, I will, and I'll do one my 40th year. My birthday's on Monday, and so I'll do it tomorrow, right before I turn 41, just out of spite, you know? So yeah, it's the positive ancestors. I always like positive vibes, but you know what? Sometimes it takes somebody to say something like that I'm gonna just do it to prove them wrong.
One of my family friends said, like, make a playlist and pick a song that represents the people that you know, who you love, who inspires you. So my first marathon, I did that. I had like kids music to represent my kids. So, and I put that playlist on shuffle, so there was no predetermined time that I knew who was coming up next. So it was a surprise. And like one of the last parts of my run, it was a song that was from, it was Rage Against the Machine. And it was representing my husband. So it was just like, because we really love rock music, and that's a really powerful song that just like gets the blood pumping. And it happened to be after the 20-mile mark, and it helped me get through that really good. And it was amazing because it was just like a wonderful surprise throughout my first marathon. And so that's what I prepared for. And I have like a 3-hour-long playlist because the first hour is for me on my own, but the next after that is like, it's just going to be a surprise.
So for me, I think what I will remind myself of when things get hard is that, number 1, I'm a bad mother runner. Number 2, this will be number 6. Number 3, I've already done this. What could be worse?
Those are great. So how will each of you celebrate afterwards? And what do you think you'll take back with you from this weekend and from this experience? And Verna, I'd actually love to hear a little bit about that from you as well.
You know, just listening to these stories, it's always a reminder because this work is not easy. I get dismissed, I get ignored, I get hate, I get a lot that a lot of these girls don't even know. Even my leadership doesn't know behind the scenes that I have to deal with. So sometimes I want to give up because I'm like, this is hard. It's hard to go against a giant of something that seems so simple as visibility. And, but I'm reminded again, just listening to these stories and this weekend, of how important this work is, how much it means to these girls. I mean, since we started doing these teams, you know, we have, I think, over like 50 plus teams. I've supported over hundreds of women. We have 6 women who ran today at Lake Powell, the half marathon, and like they're so happy. So for them to be at our homelands in Arizona and to be here in Chicago is just a reminder that this is important. Like, though it's hard and I want to give up, again, these stories just say, you know what, you got to keep moving. You know, last week we had an expo at the Twin Cities Marathon, and my daughter, who's 12, my only daughter, we were at the table, and we saw this little native girl with braids. I'm going to get emotional, but she was so cute, and her dad was just holding her hand, and she was holding her dad's hand, and she looked our way, and she kept staring at us, even like her back turned. And my daughter looked at me, I looked at her, she's like, Mom, she sees us. And I said, she goes, that little native girl knows. And that's when I said to myself, she sees herself in this space. And that's just such a moving thing, because my little girl who's 12, she sees me doing this every day. And for her to see this 3 or 4-year-old girl, she connected with, like she knew. And so I hope that all these little native girls will see themselves in these stories, because they want to be in this space as well. I want to see them in that space.
That was such a powerful story. Thank you, Verna. I think we're all ooh. You know, if there is a moment like that from this weekend that any of you have experienced that you might take with you, and you know, what other ways you might celebrate or continue what you've experienced here when you get back home?
I feel like whenever we get together and we create these stories and these memories together, it's pretty cool because we have the platform to share it. Like right now, we're sharing these moments with you, and it's so cool that now that there's going to be a Chicago team that has this opportunity to share the next group that gets to go to the next race, you know? So I feel like our celebration is never ending, you know? I feel like because storytelling is such a huge part of our histories, our cultures, it doesn't end unless someone stops sharing that story, right? And so now there's 4 of us that will be able to continue to, you know, say oh, representation matters. We totally just met a Pueblo guy that was volunteering today, and he saw us and he was like, oh my gosh, look, my sisters, you know? And then it's like, he's Chicago born and raised, you know? And so it was really cool because we get to gather that and hold it and share it. And of course, that's how I feel like I celebrate it, is by continuing the stories.
I think that's a great point, because there was individuals who ran New York that I hadn't met. I hadn't met any of you, and I felt like immediately when the team announcement came out, they were just supporting constantly. So I love that you said that, because it's such a great reminder of it's true. It's our turn after this to continue to celebrate the runners for the next ones. And maybe some food celebration afterwards too, you know.
That's always the goal. I can finally not eat clean anymore. But for me, taking the experience from now until after the marathon, I feel like it's just going to be another strengthening, empowering moment. And I don't know, I just keep thinking of myself as this little res kid, you know, I come from a really small community, and I'm in this big city, and it's amazing what we can do. Like, no matter where we come from, no matter how small, we can still reach a lot. And I hope that my lonely runs in the morning, they like inspire, like, not a lot of people will say, you're doing a good job, you're doing a good job. But I'm thinking all the people that I pass in the morning, they be like, there she is. There she's running again. I want to run. You know, I feel like if I just keep this journey, keep running daily, keep doing everything that I'm doing. And so that's what I did during my training. I just want to keep running. That's all I'm going to keep doing from now on.
I would say for me, definitely indulging in some Chicago pizza right afterward. And definitely resting, giving my body time to heal, and taking the right amount of time off I'm supposed to take off instead of pushing it like I normally would.
So we wanted to open up the questioning to the audience, if that's okay with you guys. Does anybody out there have any questions for these women? Don't be shy. Do you want to grab a mic and say that? We would
That sounded like encouragement to me.
Oh, yeah, not a question, just saying, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I would just like to piggyback on that and say, you know, Verna, your work is so important. And I really hope you take that with you because, like, you have done this. And there are many people who are very, very thankful for your work that maybe you don't hear it enough. So, yeah. So thank you so much. And, you know, I just wanted to open it up to you guys. If there's anything else that you want to share about your running journey or about running Chicago, any last words that we didn't talk to you about? I feel like we've covered so much great ground. We got to hear so much about your stories, but yeah.
Angel and Amber both talked about kind of thinking about their grandmas, and that's what I was thinking. Like, she's wearing her grandma's ring, and she's got her grandma's jewelry. I have my grandma's necklace here, and my outfit is inspired by my grandma. This is what she used to look and dress like every day, from probably since a little girl up until, you know, she passed. But that's what this is really special about, wearing our traditional cultural clothes and sharing that with everyone here.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We really, really are very thankful for you to come and share your stories. And we wish you a great marathon tomorrow.
Yeah, you're all going to have an incredible run. And the only last question I would have is, do any of you have any other words of encouragement for each other tomorrow?
I'll go. I did do 2 marathons before, right? So I feel like you forget how intense the crowd is going to be, and it makes you want to run so fast. Like, you want to be like, yeah, I'm so fast, I'm in a marathon. But don't do that, you know, like, stick to your plan. Make sure you survive the second half of the race, because that's where it's meant to build you, and that's where the real race starts.
I will just say something that I kind of started with, but the whole idea of, like, we have value in just who we are, and maybe that takes a little bit of pressure off. Maybe that's what I just keep telling myself, since I'm the newbie and don't maybe have a lot of words of advice, having not run one. But that's what I would say is there's value in who we are, and it doesn't matter what we do or feel like we have to keep going. There's value in who we are.
Yeah, just be yourself, because that's a strong Native woman for sure.
I think one of the things that resonates a lot with NWR is that we run for a lot of reasons. We're competitive, but I think what's been really important for me, and I think you guys all know this, is like running is our healing. We're healing from the historical generational trauma to our own trauma. Running is our medicine, and it heals us, and running is our prayer. We say our prayers. You know, we run in honor of loved ones, and I think those are things that kick in when it's really hard, of loss. And I think with Native women running, that's just something that I've seen time and time again. It's powerful. It's empowerment. And so I'm excited to run around Chicago and follow you for and see you guys accomplish something amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for being here. And I know you're all going to have an incredible day tomorrow.
How about one more round of applause for this outstanding panel? Really fun for me to get to learn about those journeys, and I can't wait to cheer all of you on tomorrow. Good luck. Have an awesome, awesome race. Make sure you're checking out Cindy's Starting Line 1928 and the women's running stories from Cherie and Native Women Run on Instagram and other channels as well. Really good stuff there. Good luck. One more round of applause for our friends here at the Abbott Health and Fitness Expo at the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
And that does bring us to the end of this special live recording from the 2024 Chicago Marathon Expo. I want to thank the Chicago Marathon and the Expo team for making this opportunity possible. And of course, thank you to Cindy Kuzma and the Starting Line 1928 team. What a great collaboration. And thank you to the women of Native Women Run. And congratulations on your marathon runs. Thank you, Birdie, Angel, Jessica, and Amber. And of course, thank you to Verna Volker for everything she does in the running community. That is going to do it for me. I am Cherie Louise Turner, the host and producer of Women's Running Stories. And until next Tuesday, when I will be back with a new episode, I do wish you healthy, joyful strides forward.
Women's running. Women's running stories.
Welcome to Easy Conversations, a podcast about covering the incredible human ability to overcoming adversity. I am Furkan Daniga. I am a therapist and mental health advocate. Each week, my objective is to sit down with a guest and share their story of how they were able to find meaning and purpose through their adversity. These are conversations that we have deemed to be difficult, but they don't have to. Together, we can find a shared understanding. This is a podcast for everyone.